This is the journey to one Africa.
You know, the tension that has been there from the very beginning of this military takeover in Niger. You know, the main concern of the Niger people, and as well as the you know, the military, they just wanted to get rid of France because of the unequal relationship that has been there for so long time, right? And recently, you guys know that the military actually held French officials. They held them, they detained them, and that raised a lot of tension between Niger and France. It has been there from the very beginning of this, what is happening right now. But when they held them, they detained them, it raised even more tension between Niger and France as well. Because you all know that these guys, they can come here and kill our people and it's okay. But for us, if we just detain your official because they refuse. I mean, Niger, they say, okay, you guys, you got to get out of this country. We don't want your ambassador. We don't want any kind of relationship with you guys. But, you know, the president say, you know, no, you guys, you're not, you know, in the right position to kick us away. You know, you guys are illegal leaders, so you don't have a say to kick us away. So basically, he refused. After that, the Niger, you know, military decided to held French officials. So this news just broke out like a couple hours ago that a French officials detained in Niger has been released following escalating tension between France and Niger, where military officers staged a coup and ousted the elected president. So finally, you know, these officials have been released because of that tension. I don't know what kind of threat has been there between, you know, Niger and France as well, especially at this time when they held, you know, these troops and they held them, I mean, they held these officials, but, you know, they've been released. This just came out 3 hours ago. It has been updated actually 3 hours ago. And the French government refused to comply with the order to remove their ambassador from Niger, arguing that the junta is not the legitimate authority. The military cooperation between France and Niger has been suspended since the coup. So this is what I was telling you guys, that French government, they say, no, we're not going to remove our ambassador because we don't recognize you guys, and they're gonna still there no matter what you do, no matter how many threats you say, but you're going to stay there. By the way, does anyone has an update on ECOWAS? Because I don't hear anything from ECOWAS right now. What happened with ECOWAS and Niger? Like, what really happened? Did they decide to back down and realize that, you know, this is not our place to do anything? Let's leave this guy for the revelation, because things have been going pretty well in Niger, you know, been going pretty well since these guys took over the government. But okay, nearly 1,500 French troops are stationed in Niger to support local forces in the fight against Islamic extremists. However, the coup leaders claim that the previous government did not do enough to protect the country, leading to sanctions imposed by Western and regional African powers. Guys, 1,500 French troops that were stationed in Niger to support the local forces in the fight against Islamic extremists, which we all know that this is how it is all the time, right? This is kind of like justifying the troops, foreign troops, to our land. And I don't know even why our leaders, they accept most of time like that, when they just see, for instance, you know, when you go to Somalia, you have Al-Shabaab. We have seen the news recently, like American, you know, army kind of like strike, you know, with a drone, you know, at the city of Mogadishu there, you know, to fight against Al-Shabaab. So all the time when, you know, we have like terrorism in the countries in Africa, and then we have foreign troops coming, trying to fight or fighting against the terrorists in Africa. And that cycle goes on and on and on. And that's the second update that I'm going to share with you guys about Niger. And I want really to know, what are you guys feeling? What are your suggestions and what are you feeling about this? So that was the very first update that we have on Niger, that they have been released. So we don't know what's the way forward, because French government have refused to remove the ambassador. Basically, they have refused to left the country. Say, no, we're going to leave our ambassador there. And you ain't going to do anything about it. They have refused. What are you going to do? What are you going to do if ECOWAS is against you? How are you going to do if the continent is not with you? Well, you just going to need to shut up, and you just going to, okay, these guys have refused. I cannot do anything. Can I beat them? I cannot do anything. I just need to stay silent. All right. And it's a big news. The big news everywhere. I see all the news outlets, all of them, they release the same news. They have written the articles about the same thing. So, okay, the second one that I really want to get your thoughts, guys. Okay, you guys let me know. What do you think are the ECOWAS? And I'll read your comments here. Where are the ECOWAS? Anyone has an update on ECOWAS? What is going on with ECOWAS? France has taken over the narrative from ECOWAS. Okay? The war machine has no conscience. The might of NATO will force the continent into a war. It ain't gonna happen. In Christ's name. Yes. ECOWAS is very quiet. Yes, that's what I've realized. France only cares about France and what they can take from Africa. Harold, that is 100% true. 100% true. That's why even when the continent is still rejecting them, but they don't want to leave out of Africa. So if anyone has any update on ECOWAS, because I didn't hear anything from ECOWAS for so long, I don't see any news about them, because things are shifting all the time. Like in Africa, things are shifting all the time. Like you'll have Niger, and then you'll have Gabon, and then you'll have Morocco, and then now you have Libya. Then you have Sudan. Like things are shifting all the time. And these are major things. All right. So let me know, guys, about this second news. So this news, it is about U.S. military resumes drone manned counterterrorism missions in Niger. This is what I was saying, that when it comes to terrorism, I feel like a lot of African governments, they go ahead to Western government to come and to fight against terrorism in Africa. And I'll give my thoughts after reading this news. Let me read it for you guys to see, and then I'll give my thoughts on that. Say this. The U.S. military has resumed counterterrorism mission in Niger after a temporarily halt due to a coup, allowing drones and other aircraft to operate out of air bases in the country. The U.S. forces stationed in Niger have been confined to their bases since the coup, but negotiations with the junta have allowed for the resumptions of intelligence and surveillance missions, both manned and unmanned. Niger serves as a strategic outpost for the U.S. in conducting counter-terror operations against extremist groups in the region, such as Boko Haram, the Islamic State in the Greater Sahara, and Al-Qaeda-affiliated Jamaat Nusrat al-Islam wal Muslimin. All right, so that is the news. You know, since the military took over Niger, they did not allow any drone or aircraft to go through that air, because they were trying to managing everything for the security of the country. But right now, guys, they have opened up for U.S. military to operate as usual. And this is because of the terrorism attacks, so they need to operate there to get rid of this. And you guys, you know that, I came here last time to read the news, what terrorists did in Mali. So basically before they're opening right now, there have been some attack of terrorism in Burkina Faso and Mali. Even in Niger, there have been an attack on terrorism. And now these guys are coming, they're opening airspace for them to operate. I don't want to say anything here, but I'm giving you guys data. I'm giving you guys the truth for you guys to figure out on your own what is going on. So this is what happened. When military took over and said, okay, there will be no flying drones, there will be no aircraft here crossing by these airspace. No. So US, they are doing those activities, they stopped for more than 1 month. But during this time, there have been terrorism attack in Mali, some of them in Burkina Faso. You saw even there's another junta, small junta wanted to take over Burkina Faso, like another military trying to take over another military. And then in Niger as well. Some people have been killed because of terrorist attack. And after that, now you have US opening up their airspace and their drones to operate to fight against these terrorism in this region. So I want you guys to think, and I want you guys to say, what do you think? I ain't gonna say anything. I'm not gonna say anything, but look at these patterns of what has been happening in this 1 month and few weeks, and the news that we get today. This news came out a couple hours ago, 8 hours ago. It was updated 8 hours ago. That's a good thing about this. Like it was released 21 hours ago, but it has been updated 8 hours ago, and it can be updated again. So I want you guys tell me, what do you think? What do you think is happening? Okay, this is what I was saying, that terrorism in Africa, it is not just the hand of Africans. It is not just the action of few Africans who wants to take over Africa. No. These guys, they have a backup support from somewhere outside there of this world, outside of the continent. They have a backup support of the weapon and anything that they need to operate the way they're operating. You can take an example of Congo. Let's just talk about Congo a little bit. So Congo, I always talk about here, UN peacebreakers, how they are dismantling that country and how that came to existence, how that happened. So the main goal of peacekeepers is to keep peace of the country. The main goal of all this international organization in our country is actually to stabilizing the country. But what happens is we have all these international organizations, we have all these NGOs that are here to bring peace, but peace is not here. What we see just increasing of terrorism attacks in our countries, and we see international organizations trying to stabilizing after that. So they're creating mess. There's a mess there. In order for them to operate, in order for them to do the work, there must be a messy situation there for them to step in as heroes. And so you have a bunch of Africans and even, sadly, even leaders praising all these international organizations that they're taking care of the peace of the country. So when we talk about, if I come here and I start addressing to UN peacekeepers, peacebreakers, what you will see, you'll see a two divided attention. Some people will say these guys have been doing really good. I mean, some of the work have been doing good, have been taken care of. We have seen, look at what they're doing in Morocco. Look at what they've been doing in Somalia. Look at how this and this. You get all this stuff. But, and a lot of Africans, we don't think critically. We just see that and then we are happy. But we don't think, why did this attack came from the first place? How these terrorism attacks happen in our countries? And we don't even get clear information about this because government cannot give anything. They'll be like, hey, we are investigating what is happening. So the question to ask ourselves is not about what these guys, the work they do. No, it's to ask, why this terrorist attack happening from the very first place? What is behind these attacks? Because these attacks will never end. Will never end if Africa is not going to wake up and to say that, okay, we need to take care of ourselves. Terrorism, Boko Haram, Al-Shabaab, whatever terrorist attack in Africa will never stop unless Africa say, okay, you know what? You guys get out of Africa, let us take care of this. If Africa one day will arise and say that, I'm telling you, that will be the end of these attacks because we'll take care of them. But we can never take care of them because these guys are not operating alone. We have evidence. We have evidence of these. It will never stop. So if you want to stabilize Africa, so look at now, man, Niger. These guys, they allowed US to fly their drone, to operate in their airspace again because of the terrorism attack. They know where to hit. We're not gonna have choice but to compile and to just say yes to everything. Terrorism in Africa will never stop if Africans are not going to stand by themselves alone to fight against terrorism. The attacks that are happening in Nigeria, the terrorism attacks, it ain't gonna stop unless Africans say, okay, you know what? We need to clean our house by ourselves. That's why I'm against Russians in the continent. That's why I'm against, Chinese in the continent. That's why I'm against them. I'm against them because I feel like the safety of Africa is supposed to be brought by Africans. The protection of Africa. Africans are supposed to protect Africa. We are supposed to protect our continent. We are supposed to protect our houses. But when we ask somebody else to fight our terrorism attack that are happening here, we ain't doing anything because those attacks are not going to stop. Because we're going to need to ask them again to do it. Ask them again. The longer they stay here, the longer we lose everything. The longer our minerals are being taken away, the longer our people are being killed when they try to stand against it. But we leaders, we make the decision to give this stuff to them. Imagine in Africa today, even if the killings happen, we invite international investigators from the US, from anywhere to come to investigate our issues. Why do we want them to investigate what is happening in Africa? Can we not do that job? Don't we have smart Africans who can investigate what is happening in Africa and bring about solution in our continent? Why do we have to invite them to come to investigate in our country? Why do we have to collaborate with them to fight against terrorism that is happening in our country? Why? Ask yourself that. If you're an African and you love Africa, you need to think beyond what you just see. Some people believe that, you know what, we can never fight this by ourselves. We need their support. No, we don't need their support because the reason why we have terrorism in Africa is them. We don't need it. If we get rid of them, we'll get rid of the support that these guys are receiving from them. If you get rid of the support, these guys that don't have weapons, they're not going to be able to fight. They're not going to be able to kill our people. So how can you solve terrorism issue? Kick them away. Cut their support. Go where the finance is and cut those finance channels. If you cut them, you're done with them. But if we're still welcoming them come to operate in our country to fight against terrorism in our continent, man, we are never going to see the end of terrorism in Africa. It ain't going to happen. Guys, it's not going to happen, I'm telling you. It's not going to happen. Don't be naive. Terrorism will increase in Africa because that's one of the ways to control Africa. That we need to come and take care of the terrorism in Africa. And that's what is happening right now in Niger. Guys, I don't see these are the good signs. Yes, we have a military taking regime, but now US, they resumes their drones to fight against terrorism. And it happened after couple of terrorism attacks in the western part of Africa. So everybody's scared that, okay, oh, we need support on this. Man, if you cut their support, if you cut their aid, if you kick all these international organizations away from here, then you're saving the situation. You're solving the problem. Because the root cause analysis of what's going on in Africa, it is them. After they leave, I don't say that we're going to have perfect peace. Yes, we might have conflicts here and there, but at least we know that there's no financial support from them to support all these rebellious group in Africa who are fighting against our people and killing our people every single day. And if there's no finance, how are they going to operate? We already take them down. And we can celebrate that Africa is safe. But Africa will never be safe. Will never be safe if we keep asking support from them. I hate this mindset. I hate, man, with everything I got. I hate this mindset. I really hate. I hate the mindset of asking for support. I hate it. I hate that we cannot. I hate this, man. I hate with everything I got, man. Like if the things I hate, in this world is devil and that spirit. I hate that spirit that we cannot do it. I hate it. Let me tell you this, man. When we start this organization, man, we have a lot of plans. We have a lot of projects. But you know what? We don't have cash. We don't have money to run those projects. But you know, the easiest way of us running our projects is just to write proposal and to ask for aids and loans and donations. And we'll get it. If we ask them, we'll get it. But we're not going to be operating the same way we're doing right now. We're not going to be authentic as the way we do right now. Guys, I'm telling you, there are people, I invite them here from other organizations to talk, and they say this, they tell me this: please do not ask me the question about, you know, LGBTQ. Please do not ask me a question about, you know, UN peacekeepers. Please do not, because we don't want to this. That's what I get. Some of them when I invite them here. But why do you think is that? Because they want their support. Maybe they've already asked for the support. Maybe they already received support to operate. But when you receive a support from them, you cannot do anything. So we said, when we started our organization, we said that we're not going to receive any support from any international organization. Even if there's a money there, we know that they're giving for free. They reach out to us, we're not going to receive it. But if we're going to receive, then you must know this, that there's nothing you're going to stop us talking about. If you make a mistake in Africa, if you are United Peacekeepers and you gave us something and you're killing our people in Congo, we're going to talk against you. We're going to kick you away. No attachment. We don't want any attachment. That's why we say, and that's why we're here. We're still here. That's why we're still here. Do you think we're not able to receive all those supports? If we reached out to those people, we're able to receive those supports because we're doing a good work. Apart from doing this, what we're doing, this is a good work we're doing. We can actually write nice proposal that, oh, we want to support, you know, our widows, we want to support, you know, kids without fathers, we want to build an orphanage, we want to do this, and money will just come, brush, to us, it'll be here. Then what? Then we say no. Okay, let's struggle, yes. Finance, let's struggle, yes. But at least we can speak the truth, radical truth, without changing anything. And this is the truth. Guys, terrorism in Africa is going to stop if we stop inviting these international organizations to come to fight our battles. If terrorism is happening in Africa, this is our war. Anyone who is supporting the terrorist group to fight against our people, he's our enemy. They are our enemies. We cannot invite them back here. We cannot. We have to deal with our own issues. Let me say this: whether they support, whether they don't support, but terrorism in Africa, Africa is supposed to fight against that. African Union, this is the message straight to you. Governments of Africa, this is the message straight to you. In Somalia, those wars will never stop because you're inviting them to come and to fight your own battles. In Niger, this is not a good sign. It's not a good sign. I'll tell you, it's not a good sign. It's not a good sign. Let me tell you this, guys. Let me tell you this. Let me tell you this, how cruel people are, how cruel this world is, how cruel this system is. Imagine, these guys, they were not allowed to fly their drone there when military took over. But see how many military attacks, no, not military, how many terrorist attacks happen in those countries. In Mali, in Burkina Faso, in Niger. See how many they happen. So it's basically just, man, okay. This is my thoughts. My thoughts. If you're not going to let us fly there, see what is happening, because you're not there. Oh, these attacks that are happening right there, they're happening because you stopped us flying there. You stopped us. Bring us back to make sure that we keep your security, to make sure that we keep you safe. Guys, this is colonialism. Even security that we want from them is colonialism. Africa should be able to take care of themselves. We're not just saying about loans and aids. No, guys. Security of Africa. We should be in charge of the security of Africa. But bringing all those foreign military bases in Africa, bringing them to fight our battles, we are not going to see peace in Africa. Forget that dream. Forget that dream, guys. Forget Somalia. You are not going to see peace in Somalia if you keep letting them fight Al-Shabaab. Nigeria, we are not going to see. Niger, you're not going to see. The entire continent of Africa, we're not going to see. We're not going to see peace if we let them fight our battle. Africa is capable and it's able to fight these guys. It's able. If we come together as one people, as one Africa, and we fight our battle, we can decide. If we come together, man, we just say, okay, we're going to Somalia to get rid of Al-Shabaab. We go there. The African army to take care of those psychopaths. And then we go to Boko Haram. We can take care of them at the same time, man. There's a satellite. You can see where they are. But maybe we don't even know that. Maybe they'll never let us know that because they're the one taking care of that. And in order for them to be in the continent, if they're not going to be here through taking away our uranium, our gold, our diamond, they will be here as keeping peace for you. We have evidence. I have the evidence. The evidence, the first one evidence, look at Congo. 30 years of their presence, there's no peace there. But our people are dying, are being killed. That's why these days, I talk a lot about leadership. Because where's the leadership, man? Where is the leadership? I don't see leadership. I'm sorry, I don't see leadership in Africa. You know, yesterday we were recording another episode of Swahili Nation podcast. It's a podcast. We're talking about leadership. Those podcasts, will release them from next week, and it will have English captions. So please watch them. But one thing that we're speaking about leaders and leadership, because these are two different things. Leaders are people, those who are leading us. Leadership is the system. So we've spoken about that. Why? There is no leadership in Africa. Basically because the leadership, the system of leadership in Africa, the system that is holding leaders in Africa is not for Africans. So if the system is not for Africans, that leadership, and you have leaders on top of that system, obviously the leaders are not working for Africa. They are slaves to the system. Leaders are not working for Africa. They're supposed to be slaves of Africans. They're supposed to be servants of Africans. Let me use that. That's a better word than slave, right? Some of you might come against me. Okay, servant. They're supposed to serve Africans. But leaders in Africa, whether they know or they don't, some of them, maybe they don't even know, but they don't serve Africans, but they serving the system. Because the system that is there holding leaders is not for Africans, is not for Africa. So if you go inside the room, if you go to the country that the system is not for you, if you go to abroad, all right, I lived abroad and I've seen people like me get into trouble. I've seen one of my friends, this is a very close friend. He had a girlfriend. And that girlfriend became pregnant. And that girlfriend, she went to report this guy to the police. Her boyfriend, the guy he was deported out of the country and banned never to come back to that country. And he did nothing wrong because they were boyfriend and girlfriends. And this girl, she got pregnant, but because the system of that country, it is for the people of that country. So if you are not belonging to that country and you do anything wrong, the system is not going to embrace you. The system is going to vomit you. That you don't deserve to be here. You're ruining our girls. Get out of our country. Never come back. And in most cases, the wrong, it was not even because of these African men, but it was because of them. but the system protected them. Africa is the only place in the world that you'll find that the system of Africa is not protecting Africans, but is protecting Westerners.